Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the Compassionate, the Merciful. My name is Ibrahim Hooper. I'm National Communications Director for the Council on American-Islamic Relations. Thanks for coming today. Obviously, it's another sad day when we see our president tweeting out anti-Muslim videos and inciting hostility and hatred towards Islam and the American Muslim community. First, we'll have a few words from our National Executive Director, Nihad Awad. Then we'll have a representative of the Muslim Public Affairs Council, and we hope to have a representative from the Sikh community who's on their way, and if they come, we'll bring them in. And then following that, we'll have question and answers if anybody has questions, and then we'll be available for one-on-one interviews. So first of all, CAIR National Executive Director, Nihad Awad.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be to you. This morning, millions of Americans were shocked but not surprised to see President Trump retweet anti-Muslim videos. One of the videos has already been debunked by Snopes. The other two videos are unverified. The videos were from a hate group known as Britain First, which calls for a comprehensive ban on Islam in the UK and to deport British Muslims who have made the UK their home for generations. President Trump's actions are putting the lives and safety of American Muslim children and families at risk. Hate speech leads to hate crimes. When hate speech and conspiracy theories are unchallenged, especially against minorities that have been stereotyped for a long time, they foster an atmosphere that causes hate crimes. Throughout this year, CAIR offices nationwide received on average at least 1 to 2 daily reports of hate crimes targeting American Muslims, Muslim houses of worship, or people perceived as Muslim. As numerous Americans who are Muslim or looked Muslim were shot or beaten severely, we did not hear a word from this president. During the most of these attacks, attackers uttered or expressed the anti-Muslim slurs repeated daily in mainstream headlines and often by President Trump himself. This is a continuation of President Trump's pattern of sexual, religious, and racial harassment of many Americans. This includes Trump's attempt to turn Americans against each other and his standing by Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore, who was credibly accused of inappropriate contact with children. Trump has infected the Republican Party, and I'm asking my fellow Republican friends who believe in the words of the Declaration of Independence, in Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, in the 14th Amendment, and in the Constitution's guarantees of equal justice under law, not to sit idly while this injustice continues. This is not a conservative or liberal issue. It is an American one. I'm asking our nation's Republican leadership, when will you draw a line in the sand against this bigotry and harassment? What will it take for the Republican Party to say that these actions do not represent the grand old party? When will you put country over party? When is the Republican leadership, RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel, House Speaker Paul Ryan, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, going to stand up for all Americans? This is not and cannot be the America you want your children to live in. Millions of Americans worry about our safety and future. We need Republican leadership party to publicly affirm American values of religious freedom. We need Republican Party leadership to join us in reminding our fellow Americans that while some may want to divide us, we are and always will be Americans united as one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Ilhan Cagri, Policy Fellow for Religious Freedom for the Muslim Public Affairs Council. And if you can spell your name, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Ilhan Cagri. That's spelled I-L-H-A-N. The last name is spelled C-A-G-R-I. And I work for the Muslim Public Affairs Council. I'm the Program Fellow for Religious Liberty. I want to start with just reviewing what happened. What happened is the President of the United States, our President, saw fit to retweet 3 videos from a far-right extremist group in the UK showing pictures of innocents being attacked by Muslims in Europe. First, one of them has already been debunked, didn't even happen. And what this shows is that our president sides with these kinds of issues. Our president is giving validation to these kinds of views. It shows, it gives validity to of hate-mongering, of separating people out. It's trying to, what could these videos be doing except for trying to incite hatred, trying to force people to fear groups, to fear Muslims, and to just breed hatred, fear, and eventually violence. And this is something we do not want in this country. Where is the leadership in this country? Where is it? Aside from the fact that it's undignified for our president to be tweeting in this way, to be tweeting these kinds of videos, this is not what a leader should be doing. A leader should be bringing people together. A leader should be trying to unite his country. A leader should not be trying to force divisions or create divisions or incite fear. And that's what's happening in this country. And this is very worrisome for us. It's very worrisome for all minorities. Jewish groups have already come out against this. Other minority groups have already come out against these tweets because all it does is incite hate, incite fear, and eventually incite violence. Theresa May, the Prime Minister of the UK, has already come out and said that this is not a good thing for the president to have done. And the person who actually tweeted these in the UK, Jada Franson, was charged today with hate crimes. So this is a president who has retweeted videos posted by somebody who has been charged with hate crimes. Oh, not charged, convicted with hate crimes in the UK. So we're asking for all people in this country to speak out against this, particularly leaders to speak out against these kinds of tweets, these kinds of videos, these kinds of views. We're asking religious leaders and community leaders to please show leadership in your communities, something that we need in this country, to say that this is not the country that we want. This is not the country that we envision for ourselves and our children. We're tired of the hatred. We're tired of the division. We're tired of the nastiness. We sorely need all of us to come together and to try to be the country that we can be, which is a country that recognizes that everybody has rights and that everybody can live together in a beautiful society. And so that's what we're calling on people to do, to come together and to actually pick up the banner of leadership where leadership is lacking.
Thank you. So if anybody has any questions, yes?
What do you make of the fact that the White House has basically come out and defended President Trump's decision to retweet these videos, saying this is about starting a conversation about a very real threat of extremism, whether or not the videos are...
Well, first of all, what are these videos? The video with the disabled individual, apparently the original video has nothing to do with Muslims, nothing to do with immigrants. It's merely one of the many videos that is circulating on anti-Muslim hate sites, and it has been there for years. So Snopes, if you read the Snopes article about it today, completely debunked. The video from Egypt, again, years old, also circulating on anti-Muslim hate sites to try and defame Muslims and Islam, showed political violence in Egypt at the time of the overthrow of the Mubarak regime. Again, has nothing to do with Islam. or Muslims. It's political violence between different factions there. The other one of somebody attacking a statue of the Virgin Mary, perhaps they should read the Quran. The Quran speaks time and again about reverence for the Virgin Mary. We ourselves have issued statements condemning vandalism of statues of the Virgin Mary at Catholic churches in America, where there's just random vandalism. We don't know who did it. We've issued statement against that. As Muslims revere Mary, they revere Jesus, they revere all the figures of the Bible, the Quran, and the Jewish scripture. So, utter nonsense. So their argument is, well, everything we tweeted was fake or distorted, but it's designed to start a conversation. Well, the conversation is designed to start as a conversation of hatred, bigotry, and white supremacy, and it's the same conversation that Donald Trump and his people around him have been pushing for years now. Any other questions? Yeah.
Is the main issue that you have the source that he's retweeting, or more you consider the material itself to be misleading in nature, or conflating extreme activities with moderate Muslims?
Well, it shows that the president is not advised by an adult person at the White House. Where are the people who vet information for him? Where are the people who vet videos for him or tweets? He speaks for the White House. The White House speaks for the nation. And this nation is the leading nation in the world. If the president selects intentionally to use debunked and unverified videos to start a conversation, that shows the caliber of this leadership. This leadership has been reckless and has been acting below the office of the White House of the United States of America. People are looking at the White House. Around the world, people are looking at the United States of America. And what is being sent out from this White House is un-American and shameful. You cannot start a conversation based on false information. And secondly, the president is surrounded and overwhelmed by so many scandals around him. We should not allow him to distract us from the real issues. The real issues are, we need to unite Americans, not to divide them. We need to reform immigration laws. We need to bring America together. And this president has not delivered on any of these things. He is unfortunately appealing to his base. And he's not acting as president of all Americans. He's only appealing to a small minority that believes in white supremacy. And that's not healthy, it's un-American, and that's not the leadership we need at the White House.
There is a problem that the president retweeted from this far-right group, because it means that the president identifies with the views of this far-right extremist group, and that is problematic. A president should not be, a president of our country, should not have extremist views in any direction, and especially not one that espouses hatred and violence. The other issue is that if you're thinking about, I just want to answer the first question, which was about whether it's a real threat or not. If you look at FBI statistics, a far greater threat in terms of violence and our security comes from the far right. And yet we're not worried about those, and that's something we do need to be worried about. Obviously, everyone is concerned about the security of our country. But the security of our country, if it's endangered from many positions. And the far right is a bigger threat to the security of our country than Muslims.
And our third speaker has arrived. I'll just let her introduce herself.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Lakshmi Sridaran, and I serve as the Director of National Policy and Advocacy for South Asian Americans Leading Together. We're a national nonprofit representing the breadth and depth of the South Asian American community, including the Muslim community. The president's tweets this morning serve only to inflame and encourage hatred, fear, and demonization of Muslims and those perceived to be Muslim in the United States. The president's press secretary conceded that the administration is willing to engage in fake news if it aligns with their goals, stating whether it's a real video, the threat is real. At this uncertain hour in our country, the real threat is this administration and its white supremacist allies. As a result of Islamophobic federal policies such as the Muslim ban and the president's semantic stampedes on Twitter, our communities continue to suffer injustices at the hands of white supremacists and anti-Muslim hate groups nationwide. David Duke responded to the president's actions this morning by sounding praise, stating, "Thank God for Trump, that's why we love him." This is similar praise he received from Duke at Charlottesville right before the violent extreme right-wing attacks on anti-racist peaceful protesters. According to the FBI's 2016 hate crime statistics that were recently released, anti-Muslim hate crimes increased by 19%, anti-Hindu hate crimes increased by 100%, and anti-Sikh hate crimes increased by 17%. And according to Pew, assaults against Muslim Americans have surpassed levels reached in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks. Since the election, SAALT has documented over 205 incidents of hate violence aimed at South Asian, Muslim, Sikh, Hindu, Arab, and Middle Eastern Americans, a 58% increase from the year prior. Due to underreporting, these incidents are just a fraction of the violence our communities continue to face. The president is actively working to incite violence against communities within his own country, and this must be soundly denounced and resisted. While the president claims he wants to defend our country against so-called terrorism, his rhetoric and policies have and will continue to promote and encourage right-wing, domestic extremist terrorism right here at home that inflicts deadly violence on millions of our community members nationwide. This self-defeating cycle is where we are currently gripped. We must demand better from our president and from our democracy. The United States was supposed to be founded on principles of religious freedom, and our leaders must promote rather than counteract these values. And SAALT opposes this administration's acutely anti-Muslim rhetoric and policies and will continue to demand dignity and full inclusion for all communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions?
Does she want to spell her name?
Do you want to spell it?
Sure, yeah. First name is Lakshmi, Lakshmi. Last name Sridaran. Thank you.
All right. Well, then everyone here is available for one-on-one interviews. And again, thank you for coming.